Hey guys, I'm Jackie Brubaker, host of the Love You Even More podcast. I'm an author, marriage and family therapist in training, performer, and 2-time Emmy Award winner. Each week, I bring on people from all walks of life to talk to them about their inspiring stories in the fields of self-development, relationships, business, and how you can love yourself even more. For more about me and the podcast, visit us at loveyouevenmore.com. Welcome, Hanna Bier, to the Love You Even More podcast. Hanna is a money coach. She is coming all the way from Germany right now to talk to us about the psychology of money, one of my very favorite topics. And Hanna, I like people to introduce themselves because they do such a better job than I could. But welcome to the podcast and tell us who you are.
I'm so excited to be here, Jackie. My name is Hanna. I'm a money coach. I work with really creative, really ambitious women. I work with a lot of artists. I've got opera singers, co-working space owners, dancers, painters, athletes, really interesting, accomplished women who feel like money is the last area of their life that just doesn't feel good. So I teach timeless money making and sales skills because I believe that a woman isn't truly free until she's deeply secure with money.
I completely 150% agree with that. How did you get into this space? There must have been a moment where you're like, I need to do this. I need to do this for me. Tell me about that.
I really stumbled into it. So in my early 20s, I was on my way to becoming a corporate fashion girlie. I was studying international fashion management. And at the time I was struggling with an anxiety disorder. I had been anorexic for most of my teenagehood and then young adulthood. And I was just absolutely exhausted in my early 20s. And I remember thinking to myself, this is supposed to be the happiest time of my life, but I can barely drag myself to the lectures and exams. And looking into my future, I just didn't really know what to do with myself if I felt so horrible all the time. And so I started diving into psychology and manifesting, and I turned my life around pretty quickly. And from there, I started my first business at 22 as a life coach. That business took off quite quickly, even though I had no sales skills. I did not know how to run a business. I really just sold my first $250K worth of coaching with my story alone. And that's when I first discovered the power of storytelling and how we can move people with our voice and with how we show up, and we can guide them into really powerful choices for themselves. And that business grew and grew and grew and grew. And in growing that business, I had to face some of my own confidence wobbles around money. And I will never forget, I had this breakthrough. I was living in Amsterdam at the time. So I am half American, half German, grew up in Europe. After college, when I started my first business, I moved to Bali, and then I moved to Amsterdam, and then I moved to London. So I was living in Amsterdam at the time that I had this breakthrough of looking at my savings account, and it was like 17,500 euros. And I had this whole body just ripple of relief. It was this ecstatic experience of realizing what it feels like to have money, what it feels like to not just have to make money, but to have it. And it took that number for my whole biochemistry of my body to change. And I started to realize that money isn't just a moment. Money is a lifelong journey of getting to heal emotionally, getting to discover what I truly want, and getting to take excellent care of myself.
Oh, that's a beautiful, beautiful introduction. And I completely agree with you. I feel like I'm going to agree with a lot of what you're going to say today, actually. What was it about that number in particular? Because sometimes the number we have means something, and people can get kind of stuck at a number too. They can only make so much, and then they hit their plateau. Talk to me about that.
Yeah. So I believe that we have soul money numbers. I believe that our journey of expansion with money, that there are these stepping stones, and they're almost portals that we walk through, and that it's just a place where huge releases begin to happen. And for me, 17,500 euros in savings was one of my soul money numbers, it turns out. And at the time, my income soul money number was 6,200 euros, which for me at the time was incredible because I do not come from wealth. My family on my dad's side, most of them joined the army because there was nothing to do. And then my grandparents on my mom's side were both child refugees during World War II. So neither one of my sides of the family are good with money. So for me to discover that I can save, I can invest, I can let my money grow, I can get to a place where I work because I want to and not because I have to. That was a huge breakthrough. And so along the way, so every one of us, like we all have our different, our own path, our own destiny of discovery and growth with money. And along the way, there are these soul money numbers. I'm clairvoyant, which means that I see energy. I've been this way my whole life. So when I look at somebody, I see like colors around them, and I see their blocks, and I see some of the lessons that they're in the process of learning, and I can help midwife that. And so when I work with my clients, they often do exactly what you're saying, where they just choose these arbitrary numbers, where they say, I want to make 10,000 a month, or I want to have, $500,000 in my investments growing, or and it's like, we just, like these numbers are kind of meaningless. And so I like to always tune into my clients' energy and just really look for the soul money numbers. And those soul money numbers are incredibly healing places to attain, where it's really fun to achieve that milestone, but also you just go through this incredible transformation in this portal.
Okay. Wow. That is so interesting. I love that you're clairvoyant. You were on the right podcast.
I hope so.
You definitely are. So how can we figure out what our money numbers are, like on our own, or is that something that only you can help people with?
You absolutely can. And I remember when I first discovered the self-development industry, I came across this word psychic. And it sounded so magical, like people having all these incredible insights, and it's like just like quantum leaping and stuff. And I remember thinking, well, that's not me. Because my spiritual gifts, they just seem very obvious. Like when I look at you, I see a lot of like magenta pink above your head, and there's like some yellow here. And it just, it's like it's so tangible. Like I really see it so clearly. And my whole life I've been talking to angels and like to like dogs and to the fly on the wall. It's just so normal to me that it's not magical at all. And I feel like some of us, we kind of look at spiritual gifts from the sense that it has to be like fireworks, that it has to feel really special. But I really believe that all of us are able to perceive subtle energy. It's just that some of us are more open to it than others. So everyone who's listening, you can most definitely read energy. You can do everything that I'm doing. I may just have a little more practice in it. But to me, as a result of working with me, all of my clients get really psychic, because a lot of what I do is I clear the resistance and I clear the limiting beliefs. Like it's like a really beautiful energetic shower that my clients take. And as a result, they just feel a lot more comfortable reading subtle energy. But when it comes to discovering your soul money numbers, that's essentially what you're doing. And so a process that is really easy to do is just take a piece of paper and write down a couple of numbers. And so you can decide if you want to discover your soul money number, that could be an income number, just write down a couple of different income numbers and write down some odd ones. The example that I can offer from my own life, back when I was living in Amsterdam, 6,200 was my soul money number. It wasn't 6,000, it wasn't 6,400, it wasn't 7,000, it was 6,200. Like, so odd, right? But the way that I got to this number is I just wrote down a bunch of different ones. And then when I came across the one that was my soul money number, my body relaxed and I naturally began to smile. Wow. And so when you're in touch with your soul's guidance, your body just relaxes. Like the sense of relief starts to wash through you. And it's almost like the smile begins to spread throughout your whole body. And so you can also do this with your pricing. If you're a business owner, write down a couple of different price points for one of your offers and just keep working the numbers until you find the one that just makes you smile. And your mind might chime in and say, oh, this isn't enough, or it should be more, or it should be different. Or, this person said that it should be a 6,997 price, or it should be a whatever. But really your soul knows what the sweet spot is between what allows you to to reach your financial goals in a really soul aligned, healthy, happy way. And what will be an easy yes, like what will be a really warm, happy portal for your clients to walk through as they begin working with you. So I have so much trust and faith in the magic of these soul money numbers. And so as you begin discovering them and using them as goals in your life, you'll probably begin to feel the same.
Incredible. I was thinking while you were talking about that, how myself and so many of my friends have, we'll have pricing for things. And it's incredible where you get very stuck on a price that you're like, oh, this is what I've been charging for this for so long. I'm just going to keep it. And the moment that you try to raise it, it feels really uncomfortable. Or the moment someone says, you should actually be charging this for that. And you're like, oh, that's too much. That's just too much. How can people learn to get more comfortable in raising their prices, especially if they're like, well, my sweet spot feels like right here?
Yeah. So there's a couple of different perspectives that I can offer on pricing, and anybody listening, just kind of feel into your body and see what feels best. Again, like when you're in touch with your soul's guidance, when you're hearing your soul's voice, you will find a sense of relief and you will begin to smile. So as you're listening to this podcast interview, just kind of see like which of the messages kind of pop out to you and feel like good news. Because like that's what we're listening for. In terms of pricing, I always love to clear my clients' general blocks around any number. I like to always wire my clients so that they're totally open and happy to receiving and having any number of income, any number of net worth, any pricing. And you can also practice it, just kind of visualize people kind of queuing up in front of you and just giving you random amounts of money. One person might give you $1, the next person might give you $1 million, the next person might give you 500. It's really just numbers. And you can picture those numbers being deposited in your bank account. It's totally safe, right, and good to receive any number that life wants to bring you, because life just wants to love you and wants to reward you for being you, especially if you're someone who's very empathetic, because you probably hold a much higher vibrational energy than many of the people on the planet. So you're actually one of the people who uplift and hold a positive vibration on planet Earth for all of us. And so I really believe that it's safe, right, and good to get paid for being ourselves. It's safe, right, and good to allow life to bring us any amount of money. And it's safe, right, and good to allow our bank balance change and to allow it to expand. It's really just numbers. If you think about it, if I gave you 5 million now, if I wired that directly into your checking account, you would still be sitting here wearing the same clothes, being the same you, having the same values, being the same wonderful friend and sister and daughter and spouse and mother that you are, still trying to provide excellent service through your work. Like you would still be the person that we know and love. It's just that some number on an app in your phone has changed. Right. So to me, that is evidence that any amount of money is absolutely safe to receive. So that's the first thing that I want to offer with pricing. And once we take our own insecurities out of pricing, we can then, find the soul money number and find the number that is a hell yes for both you and them. Where your client is an easy, like, this feels like warm and wonderful and a great place to land. And I'm so happy to get started. And where for you, it feels like this feels like a great compensation for me.
Wow, that is so interesting. You are so right. Because, it doesn't really, and it's funny too. I think there's a belief, a very old belief that people have of well, the more money you make, the more you really just become who you are. And sometimes people see that in a really negative way. Like if you were a bad person to begin with, the more money you get, the worse you're going to be. Or if you're a good person, the more money you get, the more generous you might become. And I think there may be some truth to that. However, I think that that's exactly what it is. What you just said is that it doesn't really matter where the number goes. You may feel more secure looking at your app, your banking app, and be like, oh, fantastic. That might make you feel more secure and your actions may change. But it doesn't, and by actions, I don't mean like your personality, but like your actions in life. You might feel more relaxed. But I think that's very true. Like you are still going to be most likely the same person. You're just going to feel more secure. Is that what you were saying?
Yeah. And I'm also offering the idea that we can source our safety from within with money, that we can be our own source of safety. Because when we know that we have a healthy perspective on money. We've got healthy money making skills, healthy habits with money. We know how to sell, we know how to enroll, we know how to have excellent energetic hygiene. When we can trust ourselves to make wise financial decisions, when we know that our inner resources are going to help us thrive with money for life because we are the source of our own financial well-being. We are the source of our own security. And it's like there's less pressure on our finances to be a certain way. And like the numbers start to become meaningless. And it means that we then feel free to let them change in whatever way we might want to change them. It's not, because sometimes people have this idea of, I'm a six-figure entrepreneur, and this means that I am this type of person, or I'm a seven-figure entrepreneur, or I am someone who earns great money but has nothing in savings. And so we make all of these things mean something about us. But what if we were the source of our own emotional needs? What if all of our emotional needs were met? And money is just the cherry on top of the sundae. Like money is just it's just this wonderful energy that loves us and grows us and cares for us. That's like the stuffy that lets us sleep at night. It's the thing that like is the wind in our sails that pulls us more deeply into life, that allows us to show up as our very best, that challenges us in the exact way that we need. And then money just becomes like this really wonderful game where we get paid to grow. We get paid to become our whole selves. And so to me, like, what an incredibly rewarding game that is.
Yeah. Gosh, what an interesting way of putting it, too. It is like a game. I mean, it really is. You are watching numbers change. What about people who have, like your six-figure, person who's really used to making great money or even more than that, and then they lose it? What does that mean energetically that they're doing to lose it? And let's start there. Yeah.
Yeah, this is a very, very common dynamic that I work with clients all the time. Just today, I had a call with a client who's very accomplished, like very, very, very accomplished. I'm not going to give too much detail, but I was in awe. And as they were telling me about their history of success, like they have a PhD and they have a pilot's license and they've been like living across the world. And if you looked at their life story, you'd be like, oh my God, like so captivating, so impressive. And I get that a lot with clients where they reach out about working with me and I'm like, you're winning. You're winning in life.
You did
it. Why are you here talking to me? And then they'll tell me about the incredible money that they're making and how they have nothing to show for. And I think there's a very big difference between being a great money maker and actually letting yourself have money. And so for everybody listening, feel into the difference of that in your body. Being able to make great money, being able to be somebody who makes money when you need it, but then feel the difference of I am someone who has money. And I actually discovered this. I was part of a mastermind. When I was living in London, I would go to Paris every quarter because I was part of a mastermind that met in Paris. And I was in a room with entrepreneurs that were absolutely so senior. I often felt like, oh, I have no business being in this room. Like I just felt really intimidated by them and so impressed. And I was like, oh, I'm so excited to learn from all of you. But as they were sharing, I started to realize I make a lot more profit than them. I have a lot more financial security than them because they're great money makers, but they're not great at having money. So anytime that something happens and anytime that there's a pivot in their life, they just go all the way down to zero and it's incredibly stressful. Wow. And so I very much believe that the happiest path that we can take in life is our soul path. And sometimes our soul path urges us to grow, where things that have been working in the past don't work anymore, where the work that we've been doing doesn't resonate anymore. And it's not that we've been doing anything wrong. It's not that anything is broken. It just means that it's time to grow. And so when we are somebody who has money, when we even get to a place where we work because we want to, not because we have to, and then the next step up would be true financial freedom, where we have a lovely income based on our investments. So we're really absolutely truly financially free. When we're in that place, we can follow our soul's guidance in the moment. And to me, that is my definition of true financial well-being, is when I make choices based on soul and not based on money.
So that is a very hard thing for some people, for a lot of people to do, to be honest. There's the responsibilities that people have and the stability of a job that they probably don't want to be in. And I'm going to use myself personally here. I don't always like to do this, but I was working as a makeup artist in TV forever, and I never wanted to. It was something that my mom did. I fell into it in college whilst doing all these other things that I wanted to do, but I needed like a real job. And it just was very good to me. It was a very, very good career for me. And I was very successful. And a lot of people could look at my career and be like, wow, like that's my dream. And I'm like, you can have it. It's fine. Wasn't what I wanted. And I have struggled with it forever. And I bring this up because every time I would try to get out of it and I would see like progress, that thing I was doing, like I've been off and on producing for the last 10 years, would stop. It would just stop. Like the leads would stop, the work would stop, and I would just have to always continue on with makeup, which has continued to be very steady. But as life has been changing in the last few years, makeup has very much become, it's still there, like I can still use it, but it's very much been like spitting me out finally, which is what you were just saying, is that you will, like, things will change. Like I wanted them to change, but for some reason, and I want to know what you think about why they didn't change when I tried to change them. But I think my story is not unlike a lot of other people's, where they're like in a job that they're just like, I make good money, but I don't want to be doing this, and I don't know what to do in some cases, or I do know what I want to do, but I'm scared, like so many different variables. But what is it that keeps people really stuck, even if they're trying to like get out? Like there's truly like an energetic block that was like, no, you are going to stay in this makeup thing forever. And I'm like, no. What is that?
Yeah. I know what you're describing. I call it the poltergeist syndrome. It's always like, am I haunted? Like, what's happening
Right.
here?
Yeah.
Right? Because it feels like on the surface, you're doing all the right things. You're like, I know exactly. I mean, I'm doing all the things that everybody else does if they want to pivot into a new career. And I'm always so close. That's the most frustrating part, right? Where you're so close, like you can see it, you can feel it, you can touch it, you're almost there. But just the actual leap into the new reality just feels perpetually out of reach, and it's incredibly frustrating. And you're like, can somebody just kick out this poltergeist from my life, please?
Somebody exercise the house.
Yeah. And so I feel like, especially when we have a dream or we have a vision or we have something that we really, really, really want, it feels like sometimes there's this feeling of, well, if it doesn't work out, I'm going to be really disappointed. And it's like we put so much pressure on it. We really want it and we really want it. And the problem with wanting is that it essentially communicates, I don't have it. And so some of us, are wanting and are desiring and are planning and are working and continuously communicates, I don't have it yet. I don't have it yet. It's not there yet. I really want it. I don't want to have my current job. And so a lot of what we're communicating to the universe are things that we don't want. And it's really hard to shift our feeling to a different state. I'm sure all of us have heard you need to be in an abundance mindset. You need to be feeling positive and you need to be happy in order to manifest good things. And it's like, I don't know if any of the listeners have also felt like, when they heard stuff like that, like, if only it were that easy. Like, trust me, I've been trying. Like, I just can't get myself to feel different like this. Right. What's wrong with me? I just can't get myself to feel different. And so I just want to validate that and normalize it, that if you haven't been able to make the emotional shift into feeling the way you need to feel in order to manifest the new reality, then it probably just means you're normal, probably just means you're like the rest of us. It really just means that you're a human. And so the way that I like to work with this, and I've been doing it on myself for a long, long time. That was the big shift that happened in my early 20s when I really started to feel different and dramatically changed my life, was I used energy clearings, like this shower of light that I was talking about earlier. I just let it run through my body and wash away all of my fears, all my resistance, all of my worries, all of my expectations, all of my hopes, all of my fears of being disappointed, and just all the pressure that I put on the dream. And I just really let myself um, feel the essence of the feeling that the vision was going to give me. So this is like the summary of manifestation in a nutshell, that the energy you're feeling right now, so the feeling that you're feeling right now is what's going to be manifested in your external circumstances moving forward. So if I can get you to feel secure, loved, at home in yourself, peaceful, joyful, ecstatic, turned on, whatever it is that you'll be feeling once the new career or the new dream has manifested, that's when it pops in really quickly. So it's really this shift of feeling that we need to accomplish. And I like to wire this in, I like to rewire people at a very deep level. So we don't have to go through a day and be like, to manifest, do my manifestation meditation for 15 minutes today, or I have to force myself to feel different. But when your energy is wired differently, when your emotional set point is one of joy, one of, I love change, I love adventure, I love freedom, then everything manifests pretty naturally, really quickly.
Agreed. I absolutely agree with that. It's very interesting because, right, the whole idea of manifestation is to just feel as if you have it, just be like in this kind of sense of gratitude always, and to let go, to really let go and just accept that it will happen when it's supposed to and it's coming to me. And I basically already have it. So I just don't have to worry. But it's interesting because, like, I've actually done that with something. And now I have such a different viewpoint on that thing that I wanted for so long. And now it just comes to me so easily. But it was because I truly let it go. And I was like, this is fun. This is like a fun thing that I get to do. And when it happens, it's great. And I don't worry about whether I'm having it or not. It's like, it is what it is. And I really, really finally understand that, versus the way that I felt actually in my 20s, where it was like, I just got to work so hard for it. It's just so hard and it's going to happen. And now it's just like effortless. And I've always found that my life has actually been very magical, to be honest. It's been very movie-esque, which has been very cool. But the times that I have really just like been in flow, which is the state we're all hoping to just kind of come back to, and just accept what I have right now. It just all kind of finds me at the right time. And anything that's important, anyone that's important, anything that was supposed to happen comes in the most bizarre of ways, like a way that I could never have planned, like never in my wildest dreams could have planned. And I just think that that is such a gift from the universe of like, stop working so hard. Would you agree?
Absolutely. I just want to recap because you just gave like the essence of the recipe, essentially. You just gave a really powerful recipe. So I just want to recap exactly what you said because it's exactly so brilliant. And so essentially what you're saying is to appreciate and love our life exactly as it is, fully and wholeheartedly. It's like the nutritious soil. And then we feel the essence of what we want the new dream to bring us. Right? So we feel that feeling now, even before we have it. And so this is a really important thing because it's like we need to feel happy, we need to feel secure, we need to feel free, we need to feel abundant, even before the manifestation has shown up. And that's what then creates it in the future.
Mm-hmm. I think there's also a very strong element of control that people get really wrapped up in when they're trying to manifest. It's the like idea that if I really think about this and really feel about this, like I can control when it happens or I can control my life. And that's just, again, that's really not true, at least in my experience, where, again, the things that have come through, I'm like, there's no way. There's no way I could have planned that. I could not have even imagined it happening that way, which just goes to show we really don't have very much control. But what little control we do have, we can use in that way.
It feels like we begin to have more influence over our life the more we get rid of the emotional baggage.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I read people's energy and somebody is like, I like to always have their, so when I look at a person, I see a bunch of different things. I see the reality bubble that they're sitting in. That's one of the first things that I look for. And so you can just picture it as like a halo that wraps around your whole body. It's really an electromagnetic field. It's something that we can measure. It's something that we can take pictures of. If you've taken any science classes in high school, you know what I mean. And so I like to have it really nice and big. I like to have it really spacious. And so I like to stretch it out until the whole body kind of relaxes. Because many of us have our reality bubbles like really close to our body. So it feels like we're walking around in a straitjacket. And then I always look for the emotional baggage. So if somebody has an energy field that's really light and vibrant and free, and usually I like to almost see it as like rainbow colors shifting all the time, which means that all of our emotions are free and our thoughts are free, and we're just able to shift into different qualities that we hold inside. So we're able to be introverted, extroverted. We're able to be loud, quiet. You as an artist, you know how wonderful it is to have access to a full range, like how wonderful it is to have a beautifully stacked tool belt. And so when someone is in a high vibrational frequency, it's like they have full access to their whole brilliance, to their whole abilities, to their whole characteristics. But hardly any of us, if somebody shows up like this, I'm like, you're a saint. You're practically they're almost levitating like this. It's a beautiful state to be in. Like they're totally blissed out. Most of us, though, we go through life and, it's not easy. We feel disappointed. We feel worried. We're being told things by our parents that feel heavy. We read the news. We talk to a friend who's not doing well. And so over the course of our lives, we just accumulate all this emotional baggage. And what's interesting to me is that we're all being taught when we're little to brush our teeth and to brush our hair and to take a shower every now and then to just wash away the dirt from our day. But hardly any of us take an internal shower at the end of the day to wash away all of the emotion that we take on throughout the day. And so people come to me and they'll say, I'm doing all the manifesting, I'm doing the appreciating my life. I'm doing the, feeling secure now to create more security later, or feeling free now to create a life of freedom later, but it's just not happening. It's just not manifesting. And that's because they're just so weighed down by a lifetime and also, transgenerational emotional baggage.
Oh, yeah.
And so that's why I just want to reiterate, if it feels like you're doing all the manifesting things right, but the poltergeist is still loose in your life, it's time to focus on energy clearings. You can really just picture a stream of infinite well-being flow to you and through you, and to just begin to loosen up some of that debris and just start to wash it all away. Sometimes, some people also like to visualize it as they connect with source at the center of the universe, and just this beautiful rain shower of light begins to wash through them and begins to clear them out. And so I like to read my clients' energy fields to make sure that we're really clearing it out. People usually start to yawn, they feel tingles, they start to take really deep breaths. Some people start to giggle, some people start to cry. It's just all this like stuff in your body that's starting to move. And people also start to look different. Some people start to lose a lot of weight. Some people start to look a lot younger. It's just all this heaviness that we carry around with ourselves that really has to go. And once, we feel really light and bright and we love change and we trust life and we feel safe enough to dream again and to conjure up a vision of what we would like our future to look like from this clean and clear state, it's actually really easy to make decisions and to weave a new future. It's really hard to manifest when you're so full of crap, though.
That's the truth, right? That is the truth. Yeah. Oh my gosh. It's so well put. I mean, it's really, really hard to move. Like if you've got a bunch of baggage and you're trying to run a marathon, like how are you going to do it? It's going to take forever. It's going to feel really tedious. Ah, wow. So I love the rain shower thing. I think that's beautiful. There are a lot of accounts of people who go in between lives and like into the spiritual realm and see that that's what happens when we pass away. Like we go to the spiritual realm and we get this like shower of just light to basically wash it all away. And I'm so going to start doing that at the end of every day because there's a lot of energy input and outtake in my life. And yeah, it is so it's so true because there are, actually you made a really good point how some of your clients start to lose weight. And there's such a spiritual aspect to weight on people. And whether you've always been super skinny or you've always been overweight or you've tried everything and you can't lose weight, there's an energetic reason that you're like protecting yourself, right? Your body's like, I don't feel safe. I'm not going to let this go. And learning what's keeping that on you can really, really help to help like release it, as long as there's nothing actually physically happening that you need to like address. But most times it's just manifested that way. And it's something I don't think enough people think about because they always think like, oh, it's diet, it's exercising, which of course, but it's truly spiritual. And you're right, people do start to look younger the more like the less baggage they have, the more they just get in tune with themselves and they're doing what they want. They look younger, they look more beautiful. It's just a radiation. And it also goes the same for people who are just ugly inside. You see it, like truly see it in them. So, really interesting points. What is something besides the rain shower thing that people can, and finding our soul numbers? These are both like amazing homework exercises I really want people to try. I'm going to certainly try. What is one other thing that's really important for all of us that we can practice right now to help us with the psychology of money and helping us to manifest easier?
Yeah. There's two things that pop into my mind. I might offer both. So, one thing to ponder is the emotional ladder of financial freedom. And so, I really think that the journey with money should be a journey of developing a greater sense of freedom over time, because freedom is when we feel most alive, most like ourselves. And for me, it really started out that I wanted to feel emotionally free. I didn't want to feel like somebody punched me in the gut every time that I saw my bank balance. I didn't want to feel like I couldn't breathe when I thought about my future. I didn't, I just wanted to feel emotionally free. I wanted to feel free and happy and thriving and supported by money. And then over time, something that, that I'm now working on in my own finances is, the practical definition of financial freedom, which is where your investments is essentially pay for your life, where the way that the money is growing just essentially pays for all of your expenses. And it wasn't until I think a couple of years ago that my soul really said, like, this is attainable for you. Let's crunch the numbers. Let's make it happen. And I was actually really surprised when I did work out the numbers that it didn't take that much to make that happen for myself. If I just invested like 10% of my money a little differently and added just a little bit every single month, I would be financially free within the next 10 years. And I personally love working. I think working is really good for me. I think it's good for me to contribute to the world and to contribute to other people's lives and to not think about myself so much, but really think about how I can, help others. And so I don't have a plan to ever stop working. I do really, really, really like to work because I choose it and because I want it. And I really want work to be the place where I get to express my very best. I want my work to be the place where I grow and where I develop and where I listen and where I give. I don't want my work to be the place where it feels like I have to make money, because that just feels really restricting. So I want to be truly financially free, and I'm well on my way there. So for everybody listening, just kind of see where you might be on that ladder. Like, what's the next thing for you to develop in your relationship with money? Do you need to work through the emotional baggage? Do you need to release that? Do you need to learn how to feel differently so you can manifest a different outcome? Or are you in a more practical season of your life? Do you need to learn how to close sales in a way that feels really good, in a way that is tuned into the soul of your client? Or, it's a time for you to attain true financial freedom and really set yourself up to thrive with money for life.
Amazing. Amazing. Because, yeah, I mean, people, when they say, like, what do you really want from money? A lot of people are just like, I just want freedom. I just want freedom to live my life, which I think is interesting because like most people, when you ask them like, what would a happy life look like to them? They're not like, oh, private jets and mansions. They're like, honestly, just to live comfortably and to have fun with my family and my friends and do some travel. Like, people are not thinking, and I don't even think it's because of like a limiting mindset. I think it's because simplicity is beautiful and you can just have this lovely life, whatever that looks like to you, whatever comfortable looks like to you. It may be jets, who knows? But it can be this like vibration of, I'm just happy for happy's sake. And I don't have to think about my money or working hard. It's just the interest is like allowing me to live a really genuinely happy, comfortable life. That's lovely. I do agree with that very much.
Yeah. And the second thing that I was going to offer is is to ponder the difference between rich and wealthy. We oftentimes use the words interchangeably, but it's really important to notice what the difference is. So rich is a person who's able and willing to spend money. That's like all it tells us. If I see somebody driving down the road, driving a Porsche, all I know is that they either just, they either just spent a bunch of money on a car or they're a great income earner, which means that they are eligible to lease a Porsche. That's all I know. Like those are the two things. And often rich people are really easy to spot. They're often quite comfortable to show their ability to spend money. But we don't know whether they are also wealthy. They might also be wealthy. They may not also be wealthy. And I think that oftentimes, we take advice from rich people because they're so chatty. They're very outgoing. Like they're everywhere. They're so easy to be found. But wealthy people are really hard to spot, right? Like I don't know how everybody's investments are going. I don't know everybody's net worth. Like I live in Germany now. And so it was a very big switch moving here from London because in London, everybody loves to show what they have. Whereas in Germany, the joke here is that your neighborhood millionaire is probably the person walking down the road with their Birkenstocks and their worn out tote, just buying organic groceries at the store. Like people don't show off here. Like you don't gain status by showing what you have. Like it's just a cultural difference. And it's really refreshing actually, because nobody cares about how much I have. I never feel like I have to show anything. But I think the hard thing when we're wanting to learn about money, when we're wanting to grow our consciousness with money, it's very easy to fall into the trap of learning from rich people. Right. And so just really make sure that if you take guidance from anyone, learn from wealthy people, learn from people who have money, from people who own assets that generate more and more and more money over time. And to push it even further, you said something about, money being fun just now, Jackie. And I was like, oh yeah. Like how many of us know people who actually have fun with their money, who like play with their money, who laugh at their money, who feel like it's just something that's like not serious at all. And so if you can find somebody who's truly wealthy, but also wealthy in spirit, who like totally loves and enjoys and plays with money and just sees it as the wonderful, loving energy that it is, that might be somebody to learn from, but just really be aware of who you take guidance from when it comes to money.
Ugh, amazing. This has been so insightful, and I'm so glad that we got to talk about this today. You're so interesting. You have so many amazing things to say. I have no doubt that people are taking notes. I mean, I certainly have been. But thank you so much for coming on, Hanna, and tell people how they can find you.
It was such a pleasure today, Jackie. Thanks so much for having me. My website is hannabier.com. That's HANNABIER.com. You can apply for coaching with me. You can check out my freebie. So if you're intrigued to try the light shower, there is a free 10-minute wealth creation ritual, which is the daily thing my clients and I swear by every day. We take our inner shower so we can, create from a pure and clean place. It is the thing to do, to really have all of your manifesting practices kick in all the way. And you can also follow me on Instagram at Hanna Money Bliss.
I'm going to go take the shower meditation now.
Feels so good.
I can't wait. All of your links will be in the show notes, guys. Go check her out. Thank you so much, Hanna.
Thanks for having me.